Right, it's preparing to go live.
Okay, mate. So anybody who wants to watch has to put the access code in, doesn't they?
Yeah, if they want to come on Zoom, they put the access code in.
Okay.
Right, we're on Facebook Live now, Simon.
Fabulous.
Right, I'm just going to get it up on my phone so I can see the comments.
I might try that as well.
Oh, how do I get back to how do I get back to Zoom? It isn't letting me get back to Zoom. Oh, never mind. Right. Just a little bit more fiddling about.
Yep. I can see this now.
Okay. Right, okay, we're live on Zoom now. I've done it and I can see comments. Morning, Amanda. Yep. Morning, Karen. Well, hello, all seven of you. It is with my great pleasure. Right, okay, what I'm going to do is I've made the fatal mistake of having my sound on, so I'll just turn my sound off on the phone. Please excuse these technical hitches. Right, okay. Sorry about this, Simon.
Don't worry.
Right, we're back on Facebook Live. Right, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you all Simon Hobbs, who's been attended coffee time a few times and put his points of view forward. I would just like to ask Simon if he would like to tell us a little bit about himself. Over to you, Simon.
Thank you. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and yeah, absolutely, Stephen. I've loved joining in, and I always get something from the discussion that's to hand. Very wise words come across from you and your watchers, as it were. So yes, my name is Simon, and I have been spiritually awake for about 3.5 years. Prior to that, I was a primary school teacher. Did that for 14, 15, 16 years, something like that. Moved down to Dorset when I qualified in 2009. Before that, I was a stay-at-home dad for a little while. Got my degree for teaching. Prior to that, graphic designer. Prior to that, I was in the print trade. Prior to that was school. So the theme that's kind of run along my sort of school, from school onwards, has been this will to do art and to be creative in some way, shape or form. But the teaching degree and teaching career put a stop to that. Although I loved every year. In fact, the last class that I taught left primary school yesterday. I had some lovely messages come back, which was nice. And then life generally went a little bit pear-shaped. This was just about 6 months before lockdown, and things got to the point where you were questioning your purpose, your role, your place, generally, and I'll leave it kind of there. And it was at that point that I began to awake. I connected with prior to about a year before that, I started to go to a local pub in Swanage, where I live, that had medium nights, spiritual nights, and my interest was kind of, I won't say interest was sparked, but there was something there, And so during this time that I was reflecting on what I was going to be doing with myself and where I was in this world, I found my first mentor and attended quite a few of his sessions, started practicing with cards, with mediumship. We parted ways as mentors come and mentors go. Found my second mentor, Amy Michelle, And then my awareness and my intuition, my ability just skyrocketed. And then from then I had developed my own page. You could say primarily I'm a card reader, followed closely by the mediumship. But I still find it a little difficult to, I'll quite happily say I'm psychic, but I'm not quite comfortable enough to say I'm a spiritual medium yet, until I feel completely confident in what I'm getting, which is, I suppose, is that learning curve that we all go through. Some point, as with the cards, you go from buying your first deck of cards thinking, I wonder how I can learn to do this. You go from, oh, that went well, to that went well, or to these are going well, to the point where I think I can do this, to the point where something inside just clicks and you know. And that's where I am with the spiritual mediumship stuff. I feel like I need to have a bit more experience, a bit more get out there a little bit more before I can wear that hat, as it were, you know. I read cards, I read objects, I can read the runes from time to time. I've got the tarot, but I'm very, very color based, very vibrational based. That's what kind of triggers my emotions and my intuition and my experiences, which I then use to try and tease out messages for people. I make the jewelry, I wood turn, I do something called pyrography, which is burning onto wood.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I recently picked up my watercolors, and in the last 2 weeks I've just not stopped. That's been very therapeutic. My form of mindfulness is and meditation is when I am creating. I'm not the sort of fellow that can sit and just relax because there's too much going on, but when I'm creating I can lose hours, and it's a joy to create and then sell something on. So I have my spiritual page, I have my craft page, and I try to make my art and my craft and my spirituality merge into the two fields. So I have 2 children, they're 18 and 20. I live alone and I am in Swanage, Dorset.
I couldn't hear you then. Right.
No.
Yeah. There's a few things that are coming to mind. As you know, Simon, I've been around for quite some time. You know, I've been a practicing medium in spiritualist churches for 40 years. And, you know, you've been involved a very short time, but you had your awakening, as you put it. Mine was a knowing that there must be a reason for all this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why I'm having these experiences, and I wonder if it was similar for you. You know, when you saw mediums working down the pub, you know, something clicked, and you thought, you know, well, perhaps I'd like to venture into this more. And I do feel strongly to say the more you open to it, the more it will come to you.
Yeah.
You know, but card reading, I mean, 3.5 years, you know, doing all the cards and all that, it isn't, I would say it takes 2 years on average to get to any standard mediumistically. All right. But what I want to say to you, you said that you're very aware of colour and vibration. That is mental mediumship.
Right.
Okay, and that is my form of mediumship. Once you understand vibration and colour, you've basically got it sussed.
Right. See that,
you know what I mean? And you can, you know, and vibration. Yeah, go on. Sorry,
it's a bit of a lag. It's depending on who you talk to in this field, their definition of, and we could talk about this all day, their definition of what is a medium, what is a spiritual medium, what is a psychic varies from, I feel, from person to person. And I'm still very much in that, no, let's rephrase it. I nearly said something awful. I nearly said I'm very much in that stage where I'm still learning, because that implies that there's a point you can get to when you know it all, but that's not what I meant. I still feel that I'm stepping into my abilities and in my shell, as it were, and I still have that egotistical thing that I want to know. Do you know what I mean? Rather than just relax with being, I still want to know. So I could talk to you, I could talk to Patrick, who's been very supportive, and a load of other mediums and guide spirits and things. And their variation, the definition of what that is varies, which is why initially when I sort of started my own page, it was what did I call it? I can't even remember what I called it now. Something like Simon Starchild or something, because I felt that I just needed that kind of something different about me that echoes. And I got to the point where I thought, you know what, I don't need any whistles or bells. I just want to be known as Simon, because I don't know exactly. I'm not Simon the psychic reader or Simon the spiritual mediumist. I don't know how it happens, but I can't really put it into a box, and therefore, why should I? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that. You can't really put it in a box. It's
No.
like there's a lot of people sort of like, thread blogs, medium.
Yeah.
I could put myself up there. Stephen Rowlands, trance healer and medium. That's the first time I've done that.
Mm.
In donkey's years. It's just to introduce myself to people. But yeah, you're right. We never stop learning. I'm still even me. I'm still moving into my abilities because.
And I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Me too. Because there's always you can evolve.
That's the phrase. It evolved.
Yeah.
Is a really good word, because you could pick up a different deck of cards and it pulls you one way. You can pick up a new book. My numerology, for example, I always used to do what most people do and read and have a connection with the numbers 1 to 9. Yeah, I stumbled across a different book that enlightened me, that's the right word, to the possibilities of 0 to 12. And for me, that made far more sense. So you have to keep evolving. Things like prayers, my connection and protection prayer is probably in its 9th form now, because as I evolve and my beliefs and feelings evolve, I therefore want my prayer to evolve with me.
I agree with that. Yeah.
You know? And it's lovely to look back and say, okay, I can see why it worked there. You know, I used to ask for connection to Metatron. A lot of people have said, Simon, if you're working with light, color, sound, it's a dead giveaway, you're connecting to Archangel Metatron. And so he played a very big part in my prayer for a time. But a spirit kind of crept back in. I thought, right, I'm going to remove the reference to Metatron. And my first line is, I call upon spirit and the energies in whatever form they take, which encompasses the vibrations, the lights, the flashes of colors. In fact, one of my favorite go-to decks of cards is the secret language of color. And some of the colors in there there's no word, well, there's a few little words, but the whole thing resonates depending on who I'm with and who I'm reading for. I love it. I love the lights, the color, the sound. It's me.
You know, I love color.
Yeah.
My wife's always telling me off because I'm buying very colourful shirts at this time. You know what I mean? And as a medium, as a mental medium, like I said, I work with colour, I work with vibration. You don't need to see the spirit communicator, just on their energy, you can give a description. What was I going to say? Linking with Metatron, who's the right-hand archangel of God, as I know, you can't really link to a higher level than that. I mean, as we know, archangels are an archetypal figure, but you're really linking to energy of the Godhead, which I think is brilliant. And I think anybody who's doing this should bring God into their mediumship, bring the angels in and stuff like that. But tell me what you think of this, Simon. I've done tarot cards for about 5 minutes in circle, way back in 1979.
Yeah.
Just purely for symbolic reasons. All right,
Mm.
you're going to think I'm a complete heathen now, Simon, right? Because I haven't studied it like you have, or like one of my students has. But to me, once somebody shuffled the card, their vibration is on the card.
Mm.
Okay, and I don't. On the odd occasion when I do read tarot, I just spread them out and I read the vibration that's coming from the card and which symbol I'm drawn to on that card, and that gives me the reading. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, that's how I work with them. And what do you think of that? And that's very basic. And you're going to think I'm a complete heathen. I can read cards, you know, but not to the depth probably that you can.
Do you mean what do I feel about the way you read your tarot?
Yeah.
On a academic level, okay, there are ways to read tarot cards. There are books galore on tarot cards. There are tarot cards that aren't tarot cards. There's a grey area of, say grey. There's a kind of an overlap with some tarot cards with Oracle. For example, there's an Akashic Tarot, which has got the same amount of cards, 60. No, it's got slightly less. It's got its own major arcana. It's got 4 different suits to a standard Rider-Waite deck. I've got a deck of tarot cards based on the Labyrinth David Bowie movie. Beautiful to look at. Never read them. I think, and this is why I find your coffee warning so much of a breath of fresh air. There are tarot readers that would say, he's not doing it properly. He can't be worth his salt if you're doing it your way, you know? But who gives anybody the right to critique anyone's particular style or method? That's possibly another way. Because we're all individual, and it goes back to that Simon thing. I don't need to be Simon Starchild or Simon the
Yeah.
It is, this is me, and this is how I do it. If you like how I do things, you'll come back. If you don't, doesn't matter. You know, my objects that I read, when I say I made this up, I say that with, kid gloves. I read a book last Christmas called, and I'm going to sound really big-headed in a minute. I read a third of this book while I was sitting at the beachfront. Used divinations with stones, crystals, and charms. And I was reading it, and I was thinking, this is just oracle cards in a different format. So I went home and got my own collection of objects from the house. You know, there are crystals, there are stones, there's a nail, there's a shell, and I started reading with them. And I found that, you know, this one for me is an old horseshoe nail. For me, that represented some sort of pain. There was this, which to me represented some sort of choice. And it was more of an exercise of me getting out my meanings through objects that I collected, and it worked, and it works, I should say, with reading. So, the short answer is, I think it's great. Well, if it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah, I'm thinking there's so many things going through my mind now. You got to excuse me because I'm old, all right? But
I'm in my 50s, mate.
Yeah, I'm older than that, unfortunately, right? But what I want to say is that ever since I've been involved, and I think before that, tarot, runes, everything like that, are considered as mediumship tools. They're, you know, but I back that up with saying everything is vibrational, so that you can give a reading off anything.
Yes.
All right, or an understanding. As long as the other person's attached to them, or like you on the beach, you were picking things up, they meant something to you. we're getting
Absolutely.
signs. To me, we're getting signs constantly from the
Yes.
universe, whether it's a horseshoe or a stone or whatever, or
Yeah.
or something falls and hits you on the head or whatever, or you
Yeah.
hear a certain song while you're walking down the street. But moving on to that, I think,
And I just want to if I may just chip in, when I
yeah, go
say
for it.
when I awoke spiritually sort of 3.5 years ago, my education since with things spiritually based, Akashic readings, this, that, and the other, it's very clear now that I was susceptible to this from a very early age. And it was just a case of, oh, that's just me. In the sense of not I'm hearing voices, am I poorly, what's going on? But the deja vu moments, I think our letter's coming today and it arrives, all those things come flashing back, all those coincidental coincidences kind of flash back, and you suddenly think, I just wasn't seeing. So I think it was there a lot longer than 3.5 years, but I'm now training it, or rather,
No,
it's
that's
training.
brilliant, Simon. I commend you for that. I love the little light bulb moments we get.
Yeah,
I really do. Yeah,
absolutely.
it wasn't until I was 57, 5 years ago, that I realised that I should be a medium and a healer. That's what I
Wow.
should focus on.
Mm.
Yeah, even though I do work. But I think we've got to be more open, because there's a big hoo-ha going on at the moment with the SNU, because they're not allowing like tarot, oracle cards, runes, anything like that
Well, in
in
my
their churches. But like I said, everything is vibrational. You can read anything.
what's the SNU? Sorry, because I'm still green for some of these things.
No, Spiritualist National Union.
Yeah, yeah.
I serve their churches. Many people serve their churches. Many people
Yeah.
go to these churches.
Yeah.
I think we've got to be open. They just want it all pure mediumship. And I think, have your mediumship nights, your Sunday service, your Wednesday service, but you could also have like yourself there doing oracle runes, or just different types of tool. And do you know what, Simon? I sat in a general development circle, my last circle years ago, and I learned how to read sand. I learned how to read water. I learned how to read normal playing cards.
Yeah.
Okay, just from a vibrational sense, like the same way as tarot. Also with trance and everything like that. And I do think it's just another aspect of mediumship. It's another aspect of attunement. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do, and I think what's and again, from I might be green and I hope I don't offend anybody, that if there is a line drawn and that line is reinforced, that a particular form of, let's just say, worship is only for the standard mediumship, they could be missing out in a whole wealth of people with abilities, with people that are desiring to share. So if we're going to get a bit sort of cliche and lovey-dovey, there's a whole lot more love to give, as it were, if we embrace it all. What's to stop me going into an SNU church, theoretically, and, having these objects in my pocket, and as I'm there demonstrating that word, pull one out, just play with it as if it's in your pocket, add to the reading, put another one in, pull one out. I'm fidgeting with things. You could argue that we are fidgeting with things to get that kind of, it's ever so hard to explain, isn't it? How you just connect, you pick something up, and you've got that vibration, you've got that gut instinct. So I think, yes, they should certainly open up. Maybe the link, and again, I have his an experience with religion, high Anglican, so close to Catholic. Is it because when somebody's on stage, there is a focal point for the energy, and everybody can look and everybody can hear? Whereas if you're standing with a card, not everybody can see it, feel it. Don't know. Would they need to Would services need to be tweaked to allow for a card reader?
I think so, yeah. But way back, a lot happened in 1979, Simon.
Right.
But way back in 1979, Berenice's Circle, which I was a member of, we did a demonstration of general mediumship at Manor Park Christian Spiritualist Church, which is now Slough Spiritualist Church.
Yeah.
Berenice demonstrated trance. Her husband Ian demonstrated mediumship. Ron demonstrated tarot. Pauline demonstrated normal playing cards, and I demonstrated sand reading. The evening went well, but it was done from the platform.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, so what they did that night, everybody had a raffle ticket. All right, and we shouted out a number, and somebody said, right, all right, I've got that number, and then right now you're going to have a trance, what's its face, or a sand reading or whatever, and that's how it worked. But I think you could do something similar, with a card reader, with a room reader, with a water reader, or anything like that, rather than just sort of like, right, you come up here or I'm going to give you a card reading. Have like little raffle tickets and pull a raffle ticket out, and somebody sticks their hands up. And then you give them whatever reading you're doing. And to me, that could work.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it could be it has more of a family. The feeling I'm getting is it could be less church-based, more involvement. I don't want to say family involvement, there could be more things going on, and it might attract more people through the door. I don't know whether they have this opinion of card readers, because cards are so much more open to they're more widely available, and nothing to stop anyone picking up a deck of cards and becoming a reader. I think you need to go through the ranks a bit. You need to have a few years under your belt. You need to have a lot of positive feedback from your readings. I think it's harder to get into, to earn your stripes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I certainly feel at times, I think you have to earn your stripes. Yeah. There must be, to me, there's different levels of awareness with mediumship, with those of us that demonstrate on the platform. Let's just say platform readings, or those that sit at home and do private readings for people. There's different levels of awareness depending on their level of development that they put in. And some are great, some are all right, some are not so good, whatever, depending on their level of awareness and development. Okay, but I was taught very early on in Berenice's Circle, for what we were learning, is you have to reach the vibrational level, and that's earning your stripes. You have to become aware, vibrational, to be able to do more, whatever spirit are developing with you. To me, that's earning your stripes. And you know what, Simon? I had a beautiful tarot card reading from the lovely Hazel M. Cooling last night. And she's like you, she studies it and everything like that. She's also one of my students for mediumship.
Yeah.
What I liked about that reading, Simon, was it went into the deeper emotional states. Now, what I want to say to you is, Simon, is that more people are going to psychics, which is fine. I've got, whichever interest in anything spiritual is exploded, isn't it, Simon? People, there's some people that have even asked me, can I have tarot instead of a mediumship reading? I've done it for them or whatever. But there are many different, like we were saying before we went on, there are many roads to God. There's many roads to spirit.
Yes.
Okay. And communication with spirit, everything's vibrational. So why don't churches, I'm talking about SNU churches now, allow people like yourself in, not on a service night, or it could be a service night because we done one years ago, but you know, like on a Thursday night or a Monday night, you know, people could come and have private tarot readings or whatever readings, or I could see a demonstration from the platform. Like you said, I think that would fill the churches up more because there's so much more interest in it, and people are coming in different routes.
I think,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it wouldn't take much. I mean, the last time I was in a church was probably 5, 6 years ago, because we used to go quite regular with the class, with the school. And their level of tech, you know, I nearly said overhead projectors, that's showing me age, but the digital projectors they've got now, there'd be nothing wrong in a church, for example, to, you know, for me to stand at the front, shuffling the card, put a card down on the digital projector so everybody could see it in high def, and I could talk about the card, the meaning, and what I therefore felt it was in relation to the person I'm reading for. And I think it would give people something to, you would feel more connected. I've never worked in a church, and I don't think I probably will. I don't know. That's a big statement, but you never know. If you'd have said I was doing this 4 years ago, I'd have laughed at you. But I think having something visual for an audience to look at engages them. If it's and depending on the choice of card and everything else, they will perhaps see things within that card, even if you're not addressing them directly and you're reading for somebody else. They may hear your words and see something in that card that means something to them.
I agree.
And I think it could be a lovely thing to do. Some of these cards are beautifully detailed. My oldest deck, well, from the point of view of the first deck that I bought, has got details that I'm still seeing today in different cards. And I always maintain that if I spot something new in a card for someone, it's for them, and that's why it's come forth. It's like when you go to a gallery, you can look at a painting times, but you see something different. So I think cards could work well, very well. We need to set it up.
Yeah. I think that, you know, I see something different in the cards. I see something different in a painting, you know, because I love looking at paintings.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you 100%. I'm just going to answer what Tim Abbott DSNU is saying.
Yeah, sure.
There's been an edict come out from the SNU that they don't want no psychic readings, they don't want oracle readings, they don't want tarot readings or room readings or anything like that. I was going to post it on my page.
Yep.
Jason Dean Rothwell put it out there. That they don't particularly want that. But I find with SNU churches, they vary. All right. I mean, I know the General Council, whatever they're called, they put out these different edicts, but it depends on the church at the time.
Right.
Okay. Only once in 40 years of platform mediumship have I been pulled up for giving a spirit guide.
Really?
It really, and that was at a church earlier part of this year. The bloke could take it all, and this leads on to my next point. If a tarot card reader or whatever they're reading, oracles, runes, water, sand, you know, because I think that those kind of readings can be very in depth about you and what you are within, which you create your thing. And I've forgotten the next bit, but
can I just say about that editorial? There's a little bit of a, it's not a worry as such, but it does feel like it's putting a barrier between us and them, and therefore implying that anything other than spiritual mediumship is kind of
well, spirit use psychic energy to communicate.
Yeah.
But I think if a tarot card reader or somebody like me comes along with an angel, as a spirit guide or a fairy, that should be allowed as well. I've only
Yes.
been pulled up once in 40 years for it,
Yeah.
so that ain't bad going.
And
So,
yeah.
yeah, so, it should be right across the board. You know what I mean? But, because, yes, people need evidence. There are people coming into the church that need evidence, but as my guide said, once the evidence is given, then your journey begins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Your journey of
yeah.
learning, like you're on your, you're on your journey up down your route. I'm on mine,
Yeah.
and so
See
yes,
that what you've just said is another one of your wise acorns of wisdom, because you don't have, I think people are more open now to have, yes, they want evidence. First half dozen times I went to see a medium, and it was a spiritual affair. It wasn't a pub with it going on in the background. It was a proper do. You're thinking, where's my evidence? Where's my evidence? Where's my evidence? When you get it, you think, oh my god, oh my god. You get it 2 or 3 times, and you no longer sit there thinking, where's my evidence? You think it would be nice if they can come to me tonight, but if they don't, so be it. So absolutely.
I agree. I had my evidence in 1978, the first night I ever walked into a church.
Yeah.
I haven't needed it since.
No,
I was 18 years old at the time.
nice when it comes, but absolutely no.
Yeah, it's brilliant if Dad comes along, honestly, mate.
Yeah.
Hello, how you doing, son?
Yeah.
But what I want to say is, as people are looking more spiritually on a spiritual pathway, surely we could bring an angel or a guide through, or a fairy, or somebody like yourself with the oracle and tarot and runes, to talk to them about their perceptions of life, how they feel inwardly about it, what's going on around them, and how to and advice to progress forward.
Yeah, there's an element of therapy with it, with what
I agree.
And I if people come for a reading, I have got, and this is taken with a pinch of salt, there are some really light decks, and there are some slightly darker decks that are, when I say darker, illustrated in a more gothic-y type style, darker colors. And I usually start with those because it's almost as if we can then open that closet, pull the skeleton out, and have a little discussion about that before we move on. So it's kind of like, let's just shake things up a little bit. Let's see what needs to be perhaps sorted. What are you overlooking? What are you avoiding? Could that be potentially stopping you from going in the direction you need to go? Because there has to be that balance, I feel.
You know what, I agree with that, because once you've had your evidence and you step out on that spiritual pathway, you're living your life in the material, but you're looking at it spiritually. You're learning to raise your awareness through spirituality, putting into spiritual practice. I think angels, guides, fairies, whatever, tarot are very, very good for that guidance, because there are people, just on a simple level, there are people sitting in a circle, or would like to sit in a circle, would love to hear from a spirit guide, just to say, let them know how spirit feel they're getting on in their development, or whatever.
And I think I know lockdown was a terrible thing, but my use of Zoom and Google Meet shot through the roof, and I was one of those people. I know we all couldn't go out for a long time, but I still don't like to venture out at the moment, not for the fear of COVID, but for other reasons. So there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people at home that are suffering with some form of perhaps reluctance to go out, perhaps it's a lack of social life or friends. We can connect with those people on a regular basis, and I love it because it helps me and it helps them. But my nearest spiritual church is 2 bus rides away, and long bus rides away, so I think the service that somebody like myself can offer and to all those that are doing what I'm doing in a slightly different way via the internet and everything, it's a valuable. When I say service, I don't mean paid for service. It's a real valuable form of connection that we can provide.
Yeah, you keep cutting out, Simon, but Joe, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly, you've probably heard me say this before, but when I used to be dead against demonstrating online before COVID, to me it was just like people waving tarot cards around their heads, saying you're going for a hard time, be positive, and your mum's with you.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Which to me wasn't, you know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I will stop there in case I say something rude, but you know, and then
That's where
COVID hit and everything went online. And I said to my guys, what are we going to do now? Till all my services were cancelled. And they said, well, you better demonstrate online.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you 100%, Simon, that for those that can't get to church for whatever reason, or, you know, it provides a good service,
Yes.
you know, or the weather's bad and they don't want to venture out in the sleet and the snow to get it, that's fine. And churches have been suffering, you know, because they're not getting the bums on the seats. So
no, and people aren't forgive me, people aren't stupid. If they tune into somebody and somebody is waving cards around or whatever they're doing, or there's in the same way that you could walk into a pub and you immediately think, oh, I can connect with that fellow, I connect with that fella, but I ain't going there that lot. It's almost like channel check turning over. Somebody could tune into me and think, I like what he's saying, but I just don't feel is for me. Tune in somebody else, you know. So I think it is with we have to earn our stripes, and I will always ask people that I've read for to leave a little comment on the page, but because for me it validates me for somebody joining my group, and it is a closed group for safety reasons, etc. They can say that, you know, a year ago there was a good reading, 6 months ago there was a good reading, 3 weeks ago there was a good reading. People were happy. So I do think we've got to earn our stripes. And yes, there are people that I have seen in the past and know that we'll see again, again, new people that they're perfectly good, but it's not just my cup of tea.
Yeah. Like I said to you, there's many different levels of mediumship and understanding. It depends on the work and how we walk the pathway.
Yeah.
You know, we've got, it comes back to the old thing that I often go on about, having dedication and commitment. You know, spirit require that of us. But also, if you're going to learn tarot deeply and have an in-depth knowledge on it, you've got to spend the time and the commitment to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, but I absolutely love working online, but it's come to the stage where I found myself doing too much because I was doing online stuff and I was serving in person in churches. And this week alone, I had 5 readings, and my wife went off the wall a little bit and said, "You're doing too much." But not readings, five demonstrations to do.
Yeah.
So I cancelled 4 of them. So I feel like, me personally, I'm going through like a spiritual reset.
Yes.
You know, so that I could get the rest, so I could reconnect with my guides again and have more time with Dinky Wifey. But I think the universe, it's another sign that we have, you know, it's another change of direction, like we were talking about signs earlier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I've been absolutely amazed that, you know, because I was worried when I first started demonstrating online. You know, I was just putting like my own services out on Facebook Lives, and then Zoom come in, and as you know, it all just kicked off. But would the link be there? Would the connection be there, not only with spirit, but with the person receiving the reading? And it's near enough, damn it, the same.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, I mean, not only for me, but I've seen some other mediums give out some great messages.
Yes.
But, what I want to say is, to me, the spiritualist church is where the heart is. And to me, allowing God and the love of spirit to come through you to whoever's receiving is just amazing. And that, to me, Zoom or Facebook Live can't really give you that. It gives you a sense of it to a greater degree, but it can't really give you that.
There's nothing better than a person-to-person conversation, regardless. I keep in touch with my family via Zoom because they're nowhere near me. Absolutely, it is a lovely connection. I can speak to her every day, but there's nothing beats a handshake and a cuddle, and a proper. I completely agree with you, which is why it seems to be a bit of a shame that we're all in this. Excuse the cheese, to spread the love, to give the light, to give the support, to give the guidance in whatever form however that comes. So it is a shame that the editorial has come out, and maybe give it 5 years, their views will change or so. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it depends on the church, actually.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The general council or whatever they're called, it's like they were dead against trance at one point, but they've got a cabinet at Stansted Hall.
Right, okay.
Some spiritualist churches, SNU churches, they got cabinets in another room for the development of trance and physical mediumship, which I think is great. It's all another way. It's all spirit communication.
Yes.
In whichever way you do it. I mean,
yeah.
I remember I told Hazel this a few days ago that I was at this sort of like psychic party thing.
Yeah.
This lady wanted a card reading done. I'd never seen these cards before. I can't even remember what type of cards they were, but I read them for her. But her dad communicated, so I made a link with spirit as well. Something on that card reminded me of Egypt, and I said, there's a link to Egypt here, and she just looked at me, and then her dad shot him because he served there in the army. So we can link to spirit through the cards.
Yeah, and I think cards is just it's I won't say the easiest thing to get your hands on. When you're learning or when you're testing your abilities and you're kind of testing the ropes, cards are the easiest way for you to what's the word? Not dig out the reading, but for it to come through you. But as I've proven to myself with the objects and with other bits and pieces, I don't need them really. I could probably do it I could say, come down to empty your wallet out onto the table and we'll have a read through them, or empty a man drawer out to the table and I'll pick objects and try and read for you. I would read for you. It's the messages are there. It's just the way they are delivered to you, I suppose, isn't it? How you pick up on the energy.
I agree with you. I'll just answer Tim Abbott here. It depends on the church, Tim. I mean, some places I've been, they say, yes, they tell me that the SNU won't allow trance. I remember at Woking Spiritualist Church, the president there, Kevin Trefry, had to ask if me and him could do a trance demonstration, and they sort of said, well, we'll allow we'll allow transfiguration. And I too I'm doing a trance demonstration at Windsor Spiritualist Church in September, which is an SNU church. So it depends on where you go and who you talk to, really. Yeah. Okay, some churches say you can't do it, SNU churches, others say you can. All right, and that's where I get my information from. All right, okay. Yeah. But I just feel it should be right across the board.
Yeah, I do.
If you're going to do something, make it for everybody.
Yeah.
Because it's surely going to leave the public confused, isn't it, Simon?
You could very much be right. Our card readers, oracle readers, tarot readers, whatever, are they being seen in a slightly dimmer light because of it? Are people clever enough to make their own minds up, which I think they more than certainly are, because the lives are being very popular, very well attended. And you'd soon know if you were no good at it.
Yeah.
Do you know?
People
Or
would show up. Yeah.
absolutely. So, or are we making too? Is somebody like me giving the other side, as it were, too much? You know what? No, I'm not giving them enough thought. I'm still a pretty good reader, regardless of where I am doing it and what I'm using it. End of, and that's all I need to know.
Yeah, I think it comes back to classification again.
Yeah, back to those.
Like we spoke about earlier.
Yeah,
People. I would class myself as a spiritual root medium, but not that I put that on the end of my name on Facebook. But even though I'm using spirit, using psychic energy to connect with me, and my psychic energy to connect with me, to give their messages and whatever. Mediumship, whether you're bringing, somebody's granddad through, or whether you're giving a card reading, it's all psychic energy. So
don't get me wrong.
I think we need to be stopped. We could cut down on the different classifications, because
that would be wonderful. I'm going to say, don't get me wrong. I've done many an evening on my page where I've not even picked a card up. I've done the spiritual medium thing, but it's something I need to grow my own confidence in, which is daft, because you just like with the evidence base, if you can do it once and you can do it well, then technically you can do it, kind of thing. I need to step into that in my personal development. Do you know that? Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah.
When I first started out, I said to Spirit, the first ever demonstration I did, I said, well, if I fall flat on my face, it's your fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're the ones that have been goading me to do this. I will tell you, Simon, after 40 years of demonstration, you will do a bad service.
Yeah.
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 Because you're not, for one reason or another, you're not going to be firing on all pistons. The link may be weak or whatever, but for whatever reasons, you got to pick yourself up and dust yourself down.
It's tricky, isn't it? Yeah.
I think in 40 years of demonstration, I've done sort of 6 IPI services.
Right.
But you remembered, you can do 99. You can do 99 services. Everybody's throwing rose petals at you and clapping and screaming and cheering and all the rest of it. He's the greatest, and all the rest of it, or she's the greatest. Let's not leave out the lady mediums. But you do one bad one, everybody remembers that one.
Yeah. But like you say, they remember you, so that's good.
So
I did a live last Sunday evening on a relatively new page for me. Lovely lady who was moderating. And I was pulling the objects out, and I cast the objects for this lady, said what I felt. No, I can't take it. I said, all right, well, I don't usually do this because it's sort of like a one throw. I'm going to throw them again. Same, not exact same positions, but similar meanings. Said it again. No, I still can't take it. I said, right, I'll do it one more time. Did it again, same meaning. And afterwards I felt, why did I feel it necessary to cast them twice more? And my moderator said, it was clear what you were doing. She just wasn't able to take it at that point. And I don't like often saying, hold it, because you will feel, I've seen some good mediums that their delivery has been really poor as far as I'm concerned. And it was, I'm the best. If you can't take it now, write it down because you will be taking it next week. And to me, it just ruffled my feathers. You'll take it. I'm right. You're wrong. You will be able to take it. And it's like, you can't. To me, it wasn't right. So I liked, even if I end up within an hour, if I'm reading for one person, I will keep going until I'm satisfied and they're satisfied, usually. But it's tricky sometimes, isn't it? You do.
It is. I think it's the way you tell them. I'm always saying it's the way you tell them. I mean,
Yeah.
I had to learn, with me, I suppose like anybody who does public demonstrations, you learn on the hoof.
Yeah.
But I think if you've got compassion
Yeah.
and empathy for spirit, and compassion and empathy for the reader, and put it all under one big thing, love.
Mm.
Right? If you've got that love of spirit and that love for the person, and just have a little bit of compassion for their feelings as well. It, like I want to say, it's an old medium thing. And if I had £1 for every time I said it, Simon, I'd be a very rich man. But you're giving somebody a reading. I can't take that. I can't take that. I can't take that. All right. What I do, and this was taught in circle, say it in a different way, but mean the same thing.
Yeah.
Because you're talking to a level of understanding. They
Yes.
might not be understanding it the way you're putting it over.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. So
Yeah.
I just say it in a different way, but mean the same thing. And they go, oh, yeah. Like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You go, there you go. And off we go on to the next bit. But also, if they cannot understand the communicator, I'll get the communicator to give me information about what's going on with them.
Mm.
All right. Because nobody's got a perfect memory, have they?
No.
Could you remember people that you're talking to 20, 30 years ago?
I can't remember over tea last night, man.
Yeah, I egg and sausage, right? I remember great, right? But what I want to say is that sometimes, I mean, we talked about this donkeys years ago, but it could be somebody who you met at the bus stop, or somebody who you've had a passing acquaintance, or a friend of your brother's, or something like that, that sort of like come round the house for tea and you were there. Because all things are connected. Everything's connected. So we have that connection anyway. So a person from years ago come round your house once for tea and met you, has that connection with you. And they might have been sort of like with you, from the spirit side of life. So what I always say is, Simon, you don't know them, but I'll give you information. I'll say you don't know them, but they know you.
Yeah. Yes,
Please accept their message. Or what I also say is, and probably there's good people going to disagree with me here, I also say, okay, you can't take them, but I'm going to give you them anyway because they're making the effort to come through.
Yes, yes.
You know what I mean? And 10 times out of 10, Simon, they can take the message that the person is giving. It's just that they can't remember them, or it's, or whatever.
You sometimes just need to sit with it for a bit and let it process, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, platform craft. I mean, there are different courses where you can learn how to speak on the platform. But I learned, like a lot of people, on the hoof. But it's just about being polite. It's being loving.
Polite,
It's about being compassionate.
Yeah, loving, respectful, polite. Yeah, absolutely.
But I have seen mediums working. You're right, I'm right, and you're wrong. You can't.
Yeah. You
just can't do that.
No.
You know what I mean? And getting back to what is a medium, we are a medium. I'm going on too much, all right? But the old days, we used to call it like the transistor radio, and like you do with your radio, you tune it into a frequency, and some songs come out. We're the same.
Yes.
So whether we're bringing Grandad through, or you're drawn to an aspect of a symbol on a tarot card, an emotion coming from that tarot oracle card or whatever, you're the medium for that, or you're the medium for Grandad. You're the halfway bit. And that's to me what a definition of a medium is, whether it's psychic, spiritual, angelic, or whatever.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm going to quickly show you.
Please do.
I don't know if you can see that.
What is that? Like drawers with books in?
I got a carpenter mate lives down the road, and I was forever, while I was reading, getting out one box of cards and getting another box of cards out. So he built me 2 of these racks.
Yeah.
That are left and right. Now the cards are freely available, so at a moment's notice I can pick up a deck, and start shuffling rather than messing around, because I felt that my particular strength was not necessarily sticking to one deck of cards during a reading, maybe two from one for another, and you get feelings, oh, that deck wants me, so I'm going to grab the Egyptian deck, or I'm going to grab this other deck, or this, that, and the other. So my kind of workspace at this desk, corner of the room, I've got my monitor there, my lights, and I've got 50 decks of cards available for me at any one time if I'm going down, if I'm going for the card route. Now, I'm not blagging about I've got all these cards, but I buy cards that mean things to me, and if they work, I keep them. If not, I gift them. I've got the stones there, I've got the runes there. That is all to hand, because I like to think that I'm free to use whatever.
And that's the way it should be, Simon. Yeah, because I've given tarot cards to people. I've also given crystals to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, a spirit will draw me to a crystal and I say, oh, give him that or her that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was going to say something pertinent and it's completely gone. But go with the way you're drawn, because it's getting back to communication to levels of understanding. Even as a medium, stand there in front of 10, 20 people, whatever, 30 people, whatever. I'm not going to say I'll go in front of hundreds, you know, but, you know, and have a big glinting gold light going around me. But so I'm taking a mick now. But,
you've got the light behind you now with those shards.
Yeah, I know, but that's the background. I like it. So it's nice, you know what I mean? But what I want to say is, even over a mediumship demonstration, I have to go the way I'm drawn to work.
Yes.
Same as you do with your cards.
Yeah.
Spirit know to a great degree what level they need to work to. All right. And one of the most valuable things I learned in Circle is how to work on levels. Levels of understanding and subtle levels and all the rest of it. So I have to be prepared to go up and down the levels of consciousness. And it's the same with you with the cards, I think.
Yeah. And and there are times when I'm in a card reading, I'll suddenly have this feeling, and I'll say, right, I'm now going to talk to you, not as a reader, but as somebody who's had a similar experience, and I'm giving you my experience, not the cards, because I feel it's necessary that at that fleeting moment, the person who's getting the reading needs something either above and beyond what the cards are talking about, but perhaps
I
based
agree,
on
100%. It's the same the way I work with mediumship. You know, Dad's coming through, or spirit guide, angel, whoever's coming through. But what I was taught is you can use your own experiences to save energy.
Absolutely. Well, it's. I think it makes it more meaningful. It was the same when I was a primary school teacher. If a family was having a particular issue, well, my son won't do homework, this, that, and other. I was a dad with 2 young children, so I was able to say, you know what, this works for me. It might work for you. So you base on your life experiences and the trials and tribulations that you've had as well. Yeah,
because I'll be giving somebody a message from whoever, and they're telling them, they've had a bit of evidence, and the person's advising them on their life. And I think, well, I've been through that. So I go, well, this is not your dad saying this. I've experienced this, and this is how I got through it.
Absolutely.
And I think that not only saves energy, but it puts you on more of a level with the person receiving. You know, because some people see you as up there, and it brings you to the same level. You are human. Trust me.
We are all human.
Yeah. Well, trust me, I've made more mistakes than most. You know what I mean? You know, I'm no one to talk. You know, but, you know, and we shouldn't put ourselves out there as if we're illuminating gold light and we know better than anybody else, because we don't.
Not at all. No.
Anyway, Simon, it's come to poetry time, but what I want to say to you, young fella, I've thoroughly enjoyed talking with you.
I have. I'd like to come back at some point soon.
Well, normally people wait to be asked, Simon.
Well,
I'm joking, mate. But no, you will come back. we didn't discuss what we was going to discuss, but what I want to say is, because I'll just let it free flow, you
Yeah,
know.
it's lovely.
And but what I want to say is I've loved talking to you. I was just about to invite you back on at some point.
Why, thank you.
Patrick Monahan's still on here. I'm going to invite him in a couple of weeks. I've got
Yeah.
Hazel on next week. She's a tarot reader.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask Patrick if he'll do the week after to talk about trance healing. But yeah, no, we'll do it. I'm going to read a poem as I always do at the end. And no, it's been great, mate. And it's
Lovely, thank you.
You
Can
know,
I do a shameless plug from my page? If or
do a shame. Well, I'm getting a poem up. You do a shameless plug.
well, what I'll do, if it's all right, I will try, because I'm not ever so technically minded. I will try.
Oh, just say it. You can find me on.
It's on Facebook. It's just called Simon, because I didn't want any pomp and circumstance or anything. It's just called Simon. There is a oh, I can't even find where to share the thing now. Where is it? There it is. Share. I'll copy it into your live if that's okay.
Yeah, and then take it off, because I want to read one of my poems. Well, no, people can't see the poems. I'm looking for a particular poem.
Where are you? There we are. I'm to just stick it on the bottom of I'm going to have to read through some of the comments because I've just spotted one. What's absolutely lovely. Right, I've just posted a link to my my own private group. It's a closed group to keep out any shenanigans, as it were. We have the usual sort of weekly reveals. I use it as a place to share my spiritual based art and creations. So I'd love to have you and any new members along. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say something then, but yet again, I've completely forgotten. So we will move on. I'm going to read. I was demonstrating the other week, a couple of weeks ago, at Rumley Spiritualist Church in Cardiff there.
Yeah.
This little thought come to mind, and it led into a very short poem. But it was me tuning into spirit before we start, basically. And I posted this poem 2 or 3 times on Facebook, but I just feel drawn to read it again. And this is for anybody, because I do believe that we should allow what we call God into our lives. So it opens up our spirituality if we do. It makes us a lot more aware, okay, if we're aware of God, all right? But it was me tuning into spirit before I started. And first couple of lines, 3 lines of what I said to spirit, and the rest of it is what I was inspired to say anyway. It's called Rainbow. Spirit be the rainbow, flow through my heart into all hearts, banishing grief, pain and sadness. May the colours of the spirit rainbow illumine all hearts and minds, bringing us all together as one, in unity and love in this sacred space. May all hearts leave here with the spirit rainbow within them to heal, guide and uplift. And thank you for listening. And thank you again, Simon, for being on with me. Yeah, we'll have you on again, mate.
Been lovely. Yeah, thank you.
It's been enlightening for me because I wanted to get to know you better as well. But yeah, and to discuss these things, not only to say that the SEU put this and that out, and anything psychic's not allowed. Without psychic energy, spirit can't communicate. So I don't know what they're on about. You know, whether it's. I'll tell you one last little story, Simon.
Yep.
I've always said that you can give a reading off a pair of socks. Necessary, because the person's worn them, their vibrations, all of it. Anyway, at Woking Spiritualist Church a few years back, I was saying this in the address, and this bloke took his socks off and gave them to me. All right. And he said, give me a reading there, back your mouth up. And I gave him a reading off a vibration off his socks. He's sitting there going, said, there you go. That's all from your vibration.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Absolutely. There you go. I'll just leave you with that. Oh, Giggles has come on as well. Right. Anyway, God bless you, mate. Take care.
Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon. Take care,
Yeah.
mate. God
Bye-bye.
bless. Bye.